Hi YouTube. Just want to give a little bit of advice on raising rabbits. It's springtime now and I want to do a little bit of chores. So I thought it would be a good time to make a little video. Oops. Broken egg over there. Anyhow, you know, if you're raising rabbits, chances are you're going to have to want to do these for some kind of a reason. To think that you're going to do this and make a lot of money, I think you're disillusioned, but that's okay. You can figure that out for yourself. But if whatever your purpose of raising rabbits are, you're going to want to do this unless you have a deep pockets. You're going to want to have do this on an economical scale with some kind of intelligence. Well, I've been raising rabbits for a couple of years now, and I started off with this rabbit hutch over here that I purchased from a gentleman with the cages and some rabbits, okay, and I thought I got a pretty decent deal. But if you notice, it's the design that most people would build. It's kind of small, the roof works okay, but in the wintertime when you get cold weather, if you want to put any kind of protection, there's very little room for ventilation. Another problem is they use galvanized here on the roof, and if you look over here, it's all rotted over here on this bottom, on this section over here. Some of the cages, because the cages were built with thin wire, they're kind of busted on the bottom also. I plan on using this for a grow out cage this summer, anyway, this is what it is, okay, and I wanted to improve on it for the last winter. So what I did was I took a portable garage that I already owned that the fabric wasn't very nice on, and I repurposed that. I cut it down from 10 foot wide to 6 foot wide to fit the area that I wanted to do. I even had to modify the roof around the tree a little bit. But let me show you what I have here. Basically a very simple door design, okay? When it's cold, I can simply pull this over and hook it on a couple of drywall screws, and it still gets good ventilation from the bottom and the top. Okay, and on nicer days, I can simply open it up and hang it over here on another drywall screw. No swinging doors, no net hinges, very basic. Today I plan on taking off the fabric. I just got them held in with some screws. I'm not going to show that process, but you know, I'm just going to come in here and remove them and save the fabric for next year. A pretty cool design, I think, on this whole system is that when I clean out the upper, and I did this the other day, I can just take a shovel and I can push it right out the back side, because I made this top section so it flaps, so I can just let all the poop fall outside. So that works pretty nice. Obviously in the summertime I can wash it down with a hose and keep it nice and clean. Water system. I've got a 20-foot long pipe, 3-inch diameter, holds approximately 8 gallons. Okay, I keep it warm with a gutter heater cable. I think they're like 30 bucks at Lowe's. That worked all the way down to almost around 0 degrees. One pipe did freeze when it got like 10 below, so I recommend you drain your system if it's going to get below 0, but this worked most of the winter. Okay, very nice setup. You see the hay feeder racks that I commented on a different video, and you can notice how they're right above the feeder, so when they eat the hay, the little bit of hay that they don't eat, notice over here, it falls right into the feeder tray. So that works pretty nice. And filling them is pretty simple. I just take a little batch of hay and shove it right in the top, and that's it. And I keep my hay in one of these weatherproof containers that I bought, and I don't screw the top on too tight, but I just get it on so that if it rained or snowed, I'm not going to get anything wet, and I keep the animals out. The feed that I'm using currently, I keep in a metal trash can because I don't want rats or any mice or anybody in there. So I just keep it covered up and concealed. I keep a couple items out here. I like everything that has to do with the rabbits I like to keep out here. I got these gloves today's going to be a good day to mate these bottom rabbits. They haven't been mated yet. This is going to be their first breeding. So, this here is a female, another female, and a male. Okay? And I'm going to, they don't get handled a lot, and this, like I said, it's the first time they've been bred. I'm going to take the female, if I can get her. There we go. And I'm going to put her in with the male. And I'm going to leave her in there for 15-20 minutes, and I'm going to make sure that they do their thing. Because the goal is to get a successful breeding. And I'm going to do this twice today with these two. And I'm going to do it, mate these, all the bottom rabbits are going to get mated today. I'm going to do the number 4 cage with the number 6 cage. This is a female here. And this is a male. Possible some better clips or easier clips or could be in order, but they keep the cages secure. She's not been handled before, so there we go. There we go. You know, these are not pet rabbits, they're meat rabbits. So, we're going to leave them alone for a while. Another thing I'm doing today is I'm getting rid of the nest boxes from the previous litter because they just take up too much room and it's not necessary. I just pull out the remnants and stick them in the sun for a bit, and then later on I'll just store them up on top of the cages up here. These cages I built, strong wire. I'm just supporting them with conduit. Just go straight across, a couple drywall screws. I mean, these things are strong. Easy to move too. You just take out a couple screws, you can take the whole cage down. Getting back to the water system, if you look back here in this cage, over here, there's a water nipple right there. I just bought some generic nipples, and I took a tip and I tapped the nipple. I drilled a hole in the pipe, and I tapped the pipe. They don't leak. It's beautiful. In fact, I take and put in. It's probably a little too early in the day, but I come over here and I fill this manually. The top cage usually takes about a gallon, a little over a gallon, and the bottom cage a little less than that because there's more rabbits and they're drinking more up top. But I fill this up once a day, and you could go several days because I believe after 2.5 gallons or so the nipples have got water, so you've got quite a reserve because I told you it's an 8-gallon capacity. I do have a system that's automatic, and I might hook it up this summer, or I might just elect to, oops, a little bit too much. Now I got a cover on this one, so I just fill this one up here. And as I mentioned, this 2-gallon can pretty much fills it right up, both of them. So, basically, we're talking nice cages, hung up nice and secure, inexpensive shelter, good ventilation. Today I'm going to take down all the covers. Going to have like open air, beautiful. They're going to love it. When it rains, snows, no problems. Getting the poop out of the coop, no problem. Inexpensive relatively if you're going to raise rabbits. These are pretty nice to have. In this container here, I store my extra food because I don't want to have to be hauling stuff from garages. So you can see I can fit like 4 bags of rabbit food in there. I'm thinking possibly of getting this in bulk down the road, but I haven't purchased it that way yet. So I've got 12 cages. Let me talk about my rabbits. This is my number one rabbit, my number one doe. And the reason she's my number one doe is every time she's had a litter, she's had many kits. This time she had 7. Okay, and she's always been mated with that male over there, the number one male that's in the number 3 cage. Here's my number 2 female. The reason she's number 2 is she was the second best productive. She presently has 8 babies. Okay, and they're about 3 weeks old. Then I have my best male here. Okay, then I have my number 3 female, and the reason she's the number 3 female is her litters have notoriously been a little smaller. She has 4. Okay, I have my number 4 female. Well, she had 2 and they both died, and she hasn't been very productive, and she's probably not going to be with us much longer. Then I have my male over here. I'm going to mate her one more time today, probably with a different male, and see if she give her one more chance. Now let's talk about the babies that are these rabbits in the lower cages. Okay, these came from the best litters of my best rabbits, and this is the first time they're being mated. I'm expecting great results from these on the bottom. I've got the same layout, so I don't really have to be like numbering and the rabbits themselves. I can just know that the number 1 female goes in the number 1 cage, and so I have 2 females and a male and 2 females and a male, and it works out pretty well. So let's talk about water systems for a minute. I had a water system over here with its hoses and nipples, and this was run automatic. Maybe if you stand over here and catch it because the sun. This was automatic. There's a toilet float valve in here. It just goes up and down, and there's obviously a cap that would get screwed on here. So what happens is the float valve fills up like it would in your toilet, and when it gets to a level it shuts off, and it feeds water to the tube, and the nipples get gravity fed. So whenever this gets low, the water just comes in, and it was automatic. And I had the same thing going on for my chickens. I have another setup here. You could probably see it better in this one. So over here, you can see the bottom of the float valve. Okay, here's where you'd hook up the garden hose. There's a cap that goes on here and a cap that goes on here. And then my chickens, there's water nipples on the inside over here. And there's water nipples underneath over here, so they could drink inside or outside. And here's this chicken coop. I built this out of skids that I picked up for free. Here's a feeder I built. There's more than a bag that you can fit in here. You just pretty much flip down the top, dump the bag in. In fact, you could use some right now, so I might as well do that. I got a bag that's kind of open, so it's as simple as that. Come on, let's go. Okay, well, I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you liked it, give me a thumbs up and tell your friends about it. Any questions? I'll be happy to answer them.